Hello students, this is Saumya Das, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics, Bengal School of Technology, Sugandha, Hooghly. And today in this video, I will be briefly reviewing on the production of sterile and non-sterile products in the hospitals. So let me make it very clear that this video will be totally related to the hospital pharmacy. Now, as I say that hospital pharmacy, so we should be very clear that who are the hospital pharmacists or what are the responsibilities of the hospital pharmacist. Now, here I have kept a definition for the clear understanding that who can be called as a hospital pharmacist. Now, you can see here the hospital pharmacists are mainly responsible for monitoring the supply of all the medicines used in the hospital and are in charge of purchasing, manufacturing, dispensing and quality testing their medication stock along with help from pharmacy assistants and pharmacy technicians. So, it is very clear that a hospital pharmacy not only dispenses the medication, along with that he has a various role like purchasing, manufacturing, dispensing and quality testing of the medications also. Here I have kept two figures to just emphasize that what are the two sectors mainly in the hospitals where a pharmacist works. The first one is the manufacturing area and the second figure depicts the dispensing area, or you can say the hospital pharmacy. Now, as my video states that this is related to the manufacturing of sterile and non-sterile product. So, we should be very clear that what is a sterile product and what is a non-sterile product. Now, here I have kept a definition for the sterile product, that the substances which are intended to be injected or installed. For example, the parenteral preparations like your injections, infusions, okay, that can be IV or IM or subcutaneous. So, those who need to be injected inside your body or they need to be installed in your eye, or you can say the ocular cavity. So, these type of medicaments are called as the sterile compounds. Now, coming to the non-sterile products, these non-sterile products, they have a broad classification, or you can say there are a lot many of compounds which come under this non-sterile medications. I can just jot down some of the examples like the solutions, the suspensions, the ointments, the creams, powders, suppositories, capsules and the tablets. The basic difference in between the sterile compounds and the non-sterile compounds is the degree of sterility. That means the sterile compounds, they are pyrogen free, they don't contain any kind of microorganism. So they are very safe to be injected or installed in the body cavities. Now this non-sterile medication, they are non-sterile preparation, that means there is no degree of sterilization. Yes, we can assume that they have the purity, but they are not free from the microorganisms, or we cannot assure that the non-sterile preparation they contain no or 0% pyrogens. Now, why the hospital pharmacists, they need to manufacture these things in the hospital? Now, as we all know that there are a lot many of pharmaceutical industry who manufactures the sterile as well as the non-sterile preparation. But what is the need? Why the hospital pharmacist has to manufacture this thing in the hospital? Now, the reason is the economy. That means if the hospital authority, they feel that instead of purchasing the products from outside or from any of the manufacturer, the cost of production in-house, that means in the hospital, is less, then definitely there is a production unit in the hospital itself. Now, what are the things which can be produced in the hospital? The first thing is the sterile preparation, second is the non-sterile, some of the radiopharmaceuticals, some of the cytotoxic substances, and the hospital pharmacist can also go for the quality control of the medicaments. Now, coming to what are the advantage, that means if we produce the sterile and non-sterile products in the hospital, then what are the advantages we will be having? The first advantage, as I already told you, that it is efficacious, better and more economic product can be made. Like if you are expending 100 rupees for purchasing it from the outside and you get it by 50 rupees, or you can say 70 rupees in the hospitals, if you manufacture in the hospital, then that can be an economical benefit also. and by this you can assure the quality of the products. Second thing is, if you are using any kind of alcoholic preparations, so the cost of alcoholic preparations which you purchase from outside manufacturer, they are definitely more than what you are making in the hospitals. Next is, while making the products, or we can say while manufacturing the products, the hospital pharmacists, they get the opportunity to carry on some research, like they can have hands-on experience and they can gather some knowledge so that they can carry forward the research in the formulation department. And last but not the least, there are some products which are not commercial, so these kind of products has to be definitely manufactured in the hospital pharmacy itself. So these are some of the advantages, like why we need to have a production unit or manufacturing unit in the hospital. Now, how to decide? This slide is a very, you can say, important slide, like how to decide that whether we have to manufacture or we have to purchase it from the manufacturer outside. Now, we have some points, or we can say some bullet points which will describe or which will give you an idea like whether you need to manufacture or whether you need to purchase it. The first point is the quality. Now, if you are assuring that the product prepared in your hospital pharmacy is 100% pure and utmost quality, then it's better to manufacture in the hospital pharmacy itself. Second thing is the quantity. Now, there are some hospitals which require many amount of certain substances. Let me talk about that. Some hospitals, they can need more amount of the alcoholic preparations. So if you're purchasing it from the outside, then definitely the cost of the preparations will be too high. So in that case, the hospital authority feels that if they can manufacture it inside the hospital, then they can have a better economic status. Now, third thing is the cost. As we are always defining, as I'm always defining that economic thing. So the cost of manufacturer and cost of purchasing should be compared, and you need to come to a end point that which is better and which is beneficial. Next is the purity. Of course, when you are preparing it in your hands and in front of you, the purity of the substance which is obtained will be much more than what you purchase it from outside. And third is the service. Now, service means there are some hospitals which are in the rural areas where the suppliers, or we can say the bulk orders or the retail people, they cannot supply the medicines or they cannot carry the medicines to that particular hospital. So in that case, it is the hard and fast thing that the hospital authority or the hospital pharmacist, they need to manufacture it in their hospital premises only. Next is the demand. Sometimes what happens, there is a seasonal demand of the medicines which we cannot get it from the manufacturer. That means, for example, the cold and the flu, or we can say in this condition like the coronavirus, we know that the hydroxychloroquine is the first line of the treatment. So definitely, if the hospital pharmacists, they have that much of capacity, or they have that much of equipments and the manufacturing layout, so definitely they can make it in the hospitals and they can give it to the patients for the better treatment. Next is the personal requirement. Definitely, if you want to establish a manufacturing unit in the hospital, you need to appoint some personnel. That means some qualified personnel who can handle the manufacturing. And next is the equipments. You need to have the high qualified equipments, those who are recommended by the GMP. You need to have the GLP rules also, so that you can produce or you can manufacture according to our Schedule M. Next is the space. It's a very important point. The hospital should allocate a particular space for the manufacturing, which should not be inside, or you can say it should not be connected to the inpatient department or the outpatient department. So I mean to say, it should be a separate portion which has to be allocated for the manufacturing. Now, I have kept here the cost sheet for a product. That means how you can define or how you can say that what will be the cost of the final product, whether if you are manufacturing or whether if you are purchasing. Now, here I will say that if you are purchasing it from outside, so we have a MRP, that is the maximum retail price. Now, this MRP is calculated by the manufacturer, keeping in view all his expenses what they have incurred during the production or marketing or supplying of the medicines. Now, for the hospital pharmacist who are manufacturing it inside the hospitals, they need to keep these points in the view. The first is the name of the product. That means what you are making, which type of formulation you are making. Second is the total production per annum, like how much amount of the product you need to be manufactured in your hospital premises. Next is the cost of the raw materials, what is the cost you are getting. Next is direct wages. This direct wages says the wages which is paid to the laborers generally. Next are direct expenses. The direct expenses will lead to the closures, the labels, the packaging material and the storing cost. And the next is the overhead cost. That means for the individual employee, individual personnel, how much you're going to pay, like the salaries, or you can say the rental or the depreciation cost, the rental cost of the building or of the area which you have taken, the depreciation cost of the equipments. Next, the machines and its maintenance cost. Definitely if you are running a machinery, then you have to pay the maintenance cost. Next to the electricity and the water, how much you are expending for the electricity and the water supply. The cost of the production, that means it's the miscellaneous things which you are missing during this or in this overheads, that comes under the cost of the production. Next is printing, stationery and the postal charges, like you need to print the label, you need to have some stationery and you need to post it. So these charges are under this head. Next is the quality control, chemicals and detergent charges. That means after manufacturing the product, you need to check the quality of the product. So definitely you will be going for the quality control test. So what is the amount incurred during this quality control test? What are the chemicals required to perform this quality control test? And what is the cost of the detergents? Generally, detergents are used for the cleaning purposes. So these detergents which are used for the cleaning also, it's not like our local detergents which we are using. So they may have some high cost. So keeping in view these points, so you can prepare the cost sheet for a product. That means you can estimate that what will be the cost of the final product if you manufacture it in the hospital premises. Now, it's a tool. We can say the economic order quantity is a tool which will help you in making the decision. Now, EOQ, the formula for the EOQ is equal to root over 2SD by H. Here S says that the expected usage in units over time, that how much amount or how much units you are expending or you are using it. This is the expected figure. I am saying this is the expected figure. You need to keep in view the past expenditure or the past usage to find out this expected usage. Now D stands for the setup cost or purchase cost, like how much you are incurring in purchasing of the raw materials, as I showed you in the last slide. How much cost you are paying for establishing the setup, establishing the equipments, the space, and how much cost you are paying for the purchasing of the raw materials. The H is the multiplication of cost per unit and the inventory carrying charges, like you are bringing some inventory from the outside, that can be the raw material or the packaging material, the secondary packaging material. So what is the amount you are paying for this inventory? So this formula will tell you that how much cost or what should be your decision, whether it is manufacturing or purchasing from the manufacturer outside. Now, this is the policy making. Now, it's a very important term, like when a hospital decides to manufacture something in their premises, the first thing what they do is the making the policy. Now, how do they make the policy? The policy is always made on the products of demand. That means the products which are on high demand, according to that we need to make the policy. Now, this policy making serves, or we can say takes in consideration two things. The first one is the service and next is the estimation of the demand. Now, what is this service? Now, I need to state here that service means if you are starting a manufacturing and if you are continuing with the manufacturing, how much service you can give for the production of the particular substances. Like you are giving the service up to 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, or it can be extended up to 10 years, and this should be on a long run. That means you should not say that I will manufacture certain substance for 6 months, then I will stop the manufacturing, I will go for the manufacturing of the next substances. Now this service should be most assured, or you have to assure this service for a longer period of time. Next is the estimation of the demand. Now, how you can estimate your demand, like how much is needed for the future, like it can be 1 year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. How do you estimate it? The first point of estimation is you can do it judgmental. Like there is a blind rule, like you can say that yes, in the next season there can be the increased risk of cough and cold or the flu, so we need this medication in the upcoming seasons. Or you can go through the extension of the past history, like you can judge the last 3 years or 5 years or 10 years to see that which medications or which medicaments has been utilized in your hospitals for the longer period of time. And last one is the casual models. There are some mathematical calculation based on the regression analysis, so that you can calculate, you can get the particular amount, or you can get the quantification that how much has been utilized or how much we have procured from outside and how much we need to make it in the hospital pharmacy. Now next comes the policy making of manufacturable items like personal requirements. Now it's very clear that if you want to manufacture something in your hospital pharmacy, then the utmost thing is the personnel. Which type of personnel? That means which type of people you are recruiting for the manufacturing of the products there. So we have two sets of people generally, the non-professionals and the professionals. Now, non-professional stands for the laborers or those who are working under the professional team. The professional people generally they are qualified hospital pharmacists. I can say that they can be holding a bachelor degree or a master's degree or a diploma holder, and they will behave as the professional personals. Second is the operator should be neat, orderly, reliable, alert and knowledge of the GLP. Now, anybody who is working as a professional personnel, they should have the knowledge about the GLP, that how to practice the good laboratory practices. They should be neat and clean, they should be orderly, they should be reliable. That means whatever they are doing it, they should make it in a, or they should keep confidential among them. And the most important thing, they should have the particular knowledge in what products they are preparing. All the employees they should be of the good health, and it is suggested that periodical examination of the physical health should be done. Next is you have to, if you are making the sterile manufacturing, so it is important that you maintain 100% sterility there. In order to do that, you have some sterile coveralls, like you need to have some face mask, you need to put some hoods, the shoe covers, the sterile rubber gloves, and sometimes the sterile aprons also. And before entering the manufacturing area, the first thing is removal of the street clothing, like whatever you have worn from your home, that should be shredded outside. You have to wash your hands and arms, then you can enter inside the manufacturing premises. And the last one is the persons who are working in the equipment washing area, like cleaning of the equipment or cleaning of the containers. Generally they don't need to be have some the special requirements, like they don't need to get themselves sterile coveralls. Now, coming to what are the types of parenteral preparation which we can prepare or the hospital pharmacist can prepare in the hospitals. Here I have classified the parenterals under two categories. One is the small volume parenterals, next is the large volume parenterals. Now, this difference, or you can say this categorization, is according to the capacity of the parenterals. Generally, the small volume parenterals are those who have the limit up to 100 ml. That means the container of the small volume parenterals, the maximum limit is 100 ml. Coming to the large volume parenterals, the limits ranges from 100 ml to the 1000 ml. Now under the small volume parenterals, we have another classification, like you can have injections, the ophthalmic products, the diagnostic agents and the allergen extracts. Coming to the large volume parenterals, there are some examples I have kept here, like your basic nutrition, the saline we say in the general terms, the fluid replacements, the blood and the blood products and the drug carriers. Now, if you are entering a sterile manufacturing, what are the general things, or what are the general processes which should be done in the sterile manufacturing? Here I have noted down that first is the cleaning of the containers, the closures and the equipments. This is the first step when you are starting any kind of the sterile manufacturing. Next is collection of the material. Now it's a very important thing, as you say it's the sterile manufacturing, from where you are collecting the material or who is your supplier, that should be of the utmost care. Next is preparation of the parental products. This should be done in the aseptic area, which should be free from the pyrogens and the microorganisms. Coming to the filtration, this filtration is mainly done to remove any kind of the pyrogens or the microbes in the formulation. Next to the filling the preparation in the final containers, after you filter the product, you need to fill in the final containers. This also has to be done in the aseptic environment. Sealing the containers, after filling it in the large volume or small volume containers, you need to seal it. Next is sterilization. Now this sterilization says that if at all there is any kind of microorganisms or pyrogens present, they will be killed and your product will be 100% sterile. After sterilization, the next step which the QC department should do is the evaluation. You have to collect some samples and you have to give to the QC department so that they evaluate that whatever you have manufactured is up to the proper quality. And last is the packaging. Now this packaging can be said as a bulk packaging. You have to put it in the special containers that can be shifted or that can be moved to the dispensing area. Now, what are the equipments we generally used in the sterile manufacturing? Like water stills or the demineralizer, the ampoule and the vial washers, the autoclave, the ointment or the colloidal mill, the mixture tanks, the steam jacket kettle, the filter press. Now coming to the non-sterile manufacturing, here I have broadly classified this into the three categories. Like first one is the semi-solid preparation, or you can say the biphasic biphasic substances like the ointments, emulsions, lotions and the suspensions. The next set is your syrups, elixirs and the solutions like the monophasic substances, and lastly is the tablets and the capsules. So in this slide you can find that what are the different equipments which we are using during the manufacture of the non-sterile products. Now this is the slide which shows you that what is the basic difference in between the sterile manufacturing and the non-sterile manufacturing. You can have an overlook here. Coming to the sterile manufacturing, the first room, which is it's a storeroom. From the storeroom you go to the preparation area. From preparation area you go to the aseptic filling area. And after aseptic filling area you go to the quarantine area. From quarantine area it goes to the packaging and finishing, then to the storage and the shipping. Now the important part is the sterilization area. Here you can see the double arrow says that from preparation you can come to the sterilization, from sterilization you can go to the preparation. From aseptic area you can come to the sterilization area, from sterilization area you can go to the aseptic filling area. And this is the cleanup area, which is for the limited use, or we don't need to maintain the sterility, or it's of the limited usage. Coming to the non-sterile manufacturing here, now coming to the non-sterile manufacturing here, I have given a circular flow. That means in case of the non-sterile manufacturing, the people can travel in the circular manner, or the process can be done in the circular manner. You can see here, this is a dispensing area, this is the granulation area. Now I need to state that this non-sterile manufacture is related to the tablets. So this is the granulation area where you need to prepare the granules. It can be wet granulation or the dry granulation or the slugging method. Now this is the tablet compression area where you make the tablets, followed by which is the coating area where you coat the tablets with the coating layer. Next, this is the in-process quarantine. That means you need to store the prepared tablets after coating in this area. And lastly, you go to the approved final product. That means this area will be having the final product, followed by the packaging area. That means after you get the final product, you will go to the packaging. From packaging, you go to the shipping area, the administrative office and the receiving area. Now one thing I'll say here, if you compare these two layouts, the sterile manufacturing and the non-sterile manufacturing, the biggest difference is the sterile manufacturing is not a circular flow. That means sometimes in some areas we have the unidirectional flow, but in case of the non-sterile manufacturing you can move in a circular manner, or the people from the granulation they can go into the tablet compression, from tablet compression they can again move into the granulation area. So there is no restriction in the non-sterile manufacturing. But if you say in the sterile manufacturing, as you can see here, from the storeroom you can go to the preparation, from preparation you can go to the aseptic filling area, but you cannot come return from the aseptic filling area to the preparation area. If you are doing so, you need to follow a particular protocol. So this was my brief, you can say, lecture on the production of the sterile and non-sterile manufacturing in the hospital. So I will say that this is purely related to the hospital pharmacist. Now, if you have any kind of comment or if you have any kind of queries, you can drop a comment in the comment section, or you can mail me in the mail ID eduknowledgehub@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, that is Edu Knowledge Hub. I will be coming with more videos for educating, or you can say for enlightening you people. Till then, thank you. Bye bye.